All right, hallelujah. All right, we're here, gathered this sixth day. Brother Eric Lovely, y'all know Brother Eric Lovely from Wide Awake News. We often broadcast with him every other fifth day, or what the world calls Thursday. You know, especially whenever we can, since the spring and summertime is very busy. But we're ecstatic and elated to have him here with us here today to speak to us about a numerous of subjects. I did not ask. I asked him once. I said, "No, I'll tell you what. Just go ahead and go whatever way you're going to go." We all know, for those of us that listen, that he's full of knowledge, full of wealth of knowledge and understanding, which is good for us as Israelites to have a bunch of understanding. Now he's going to ask questions. Is that right? Like proactive. Everybody being proactive. He's driven all the way from Colorado, and we're glad to have him here with us. Now, he's an example of what it means to have someone who just does not go through life passively and ignorantly, regurgitating whatever anybody, the system or preacher, teacher, no matter whoever it is, gives to you. And so you're gonna see a demonstration of a mind that is very proactive, meaning he wants to stimulate thought, get you to start think about a lot of things, which is good. Are you following me? And this is the way that us as Israelites should be. We need to question everything. We need to try everything. We need to prove everything. I don't know how, listening to me, you cannot be that way anyway. If you understand what I mean. It's literally appalling. Because we're destroyed for what? Lack of knowledge, because we do what? And we reject it in many different ways. Many times I don't have time for it. That's the thing we don't want to hear. I don't have time for it, don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Because I'm too busy with my little pathetic, sorry life. I'm too consumed about watching Disney and everything else. I don't have time to inform myself to keep from being destroyed. But then when destruction does come, I have no answers for my destruction. Does that make any sense? So you do good. It behoove all of us to give an ear and listen to hear what Brother Eric has to say. He'll give you the testimony how he came to start listening to us, and how he actually asked me to come and speak, because he has, this way he's trying to bring in other people, because he approaches things from one way, and he says, but the people need a pastor. They need a pastor to listen to, and so my job is to try to funnel. So I'm not going to put any more words in his mouth. I'm going to let him do the talking for himself, all right? So y'all give an ear and listen to Brother Eric Lovely. It's good to have him, all right, brother? The floor is yours, Brother Eric.
Am I good? All right. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. All right. Well, now I want to welcome everybody here today. And what we're going to do, because everybody asked me if I had a PowerPoint, handouts, and things. However, when I do seminar conversations with other people, these are uneducated people, uninformed people, and they are not Israelites. Because what I'm about to talk to you about today is all about the Constitution and so forth, all about the kingdom of heaven on earth, and the only PowerPoint you need is right here. And everybody in this room should already be familiar with this, or be attempting to be more familiar and have a greater understanding. And yes, I'm going to use the word understanding for those of you who have already spoken to me. Let's start there. This is all about an understanding of the law. It's all about an understanding of who you are. It is not about comprehension. Comprehension and understanding are two different things. Comprehension means you comprehend, or you have working knowledge of whatever it is, subject or matter that is in front of you. To understand means you stand under the authority of. So you must understand this book as well as comprehend it. The law that was created, that was created in this nation that died. I'm going to talk to you about law that doesn't exist anymore. But hopefully I'm going to influence you as to why you should bring it back and why you should spend that time. The first thing I want to do, though, is I want to thank everybody for having me here. And I want to thank you for opening your community and your dinner tables to me and bringing me in. That is most definitely something that I appreciate. And because I was asked, I will definitely tell you this, that just like at home, you have many amenities here that Some may take for granted, and others may not. But well water and things of that nature, living from the land and the earth, the Lord, the Almighty, the King, the Creator of everything, created what's called an ecosystem here. And in that ecosystem, each tier relies upon itself to purify and give nurture to your temple. Okay? So as you progress through life, your body being your temple needs the most proper nourishment that it possibly can get. Now, it is left up to free choice, which we'll get into in just a moment. But when you're drinking things, when you have a well, the sedimentary, your rocks, your dirt, if you go to class, you can spend $10,000 right now in a survival class to learn this message right here. You can take dirt, granite gravel, ground up charcoal in 3 layers, put a coffee filter on top, put a coffee filter on bottom or a cellulose filter, and you can filter nuclear waste out of your water. Pour yourself a cup and drink it. And it will not kill you. This is God's method of the purification of water. Now, sometimes your water might smell a little bit like eggs or something of that nature. But the purification process, nonetheless, is the same. And all it is allowed is to breathe. And the sulfur, which is necessary in the purification process, will dissipate. And the water is pure, or as pure, coming out of the ground beyond 50 feet. Okay, that anybody can get. Berkey filter, I don't care what you use. God's soil itself will purify the water. Now, the soil will take many years to become clean, but the water will come out precious and pure. And what do you need every single day? Water. The Lord has provided everything for you. So in this community, please, when I come to this community, I stand and these are for the people out there who wonder how I feel when I'm here. I feel envy. I will be honest. Envy of what you have. The hands, the work, the diligence, the mentality, what you have going on. It is hard to recreate. And my hat's off to those in the community and the pastor. It's been a long road. You guys have created something beautiful. Do not be afraid of what it is here. Even if it doesn't smell or isn't the most palatable thing at the moment. Now, I included that because I think someone very important asked me to include it, so I did. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a timeline and we're going to start to talk about the Ashkenazi hatred for all things not Ashkenazi. Okay? In other words, we're going to talk about Satan's kingdom and all things in hatred for the Lord's kingdom on earth. Okay? That's kind of what we're here about, the law. Now, the Ashkenazis have owned the world for longer than anyone really can imagine. I mean, you could look at it on paper and say 6,000 years. But can you really imagine 6,000 years? Okay? So when you start to look at this, the vengeance has always been there. What it basically is, when it breaks down, is it's all about free choice. That's really what we're talking about. Because, believe it or not, Satan, if you don't think me so, you can speak up. Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, wants the exact same thing that y'all does. Right down to he wants you to do the exact same thing. Can anybody tell me what that is? He wants you to kneel. He wants you to do this of your own free will. Is that not what y'all wants? They want the exact same thing. They have different ways of getting there. But that's what they want. When you look at the comparisons between Lucifer and the mighty Yah, it is a competition. It really is. They both are seeking your soul. Because Lucifer once upon a time said, I am your equal. I am the morning star. I am beautiful. What was he experiencing? Was he not experiencing the Leviathan?
Yes, sir.
And he said, I am the greatest creation that Yah has ever made, so great that I am his equal. So everything that we are going to go over is about how he attempts to compete with Yah, the same, but different. And that's what we're really going to talk about. Because today, when you look at it, when you look around in your life and you see the Constitution, you see the United States Constitution. Well, and comparatively, there are two constitutions. When you put a title on a document or documentation, the title, if you change the title, it is automatically, beyond the shadow of a doubt, under the word of law, a different document. So this is simple to find out. If you go back and you look at Thomas Jefferson, if you look at Adams, if you look at Washington, what did they talk about? The Constitution for the United States of America, lowercase u. Okay? That's the document your forefathers wrote. And they were closer to the people in this room than you think. Free market, egalitarianism, real wealth, tangible assets, property. All of that, I guarantee you, is found right here. Beyond the shadow of a doubt. We're going to test that theory in a slight part because we're also going to talk about, when you listen to this, it's all about discernment. It's all about coming to a greater comprehension and a greater understanding, which is what comes off this pulpit every single time I turn on the computer. That man right back there talks about thinking outside the box, thinking for yourself, discernment, taking a step back, examine all the facts. If you can't find an answer, don't lash out in anger. Keep looking. Be patient. It will present itself. But we're going to start really quick because I'm not really a pastor. This isn't what I do. But what I do is directly founded on this. So people accuse me of being a pastor. But I can tell you I'm not. I'm not anointed in that fashion. I simply have thought outside the box and come to a greater understanding and a greater comprehension of what is in this book. And am I good at everything? No. Do I do everything perfectly? No. I can't. I'm imperfect and flawed. I can never achieve a state of perfection. I can achieve a state of forgiveness and acceptance by my Creator. And that is all I can ever reach. But that's good enough for me. Now, we're going to do a little test about discernment, so to get your minds into the right field. And because I do not know the scripture, if someone can find it for me, someone can read it. But in this book, it talks about growing crops. And on those crops, when it is time to harvest, the Lord told you what to do with your crops when you harvest. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody and their brother has made a case that Jesus the Christ and Yah are communists. That they are all about socialism. And if this is one of the biggest things they use, well, Jesus or the Lord said, leave the corners of your fields for those who have nothing. That's right. What is the lesson there? Who knows these verses and can tell me what the lesson is to be found in those verses?
Leviticus 19:9.
Preach it.
And when you reap the harvest of the land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am Yahweh, thy Elohim.
Now, hallelujah. Can anyone tell me what the basic principle is there? Anybody. Doesn't matter, right or wrong.
Social welfare.
Social welfare.
Through an abundance of coffers that don't extinguish.
Is that what he's teaching you? Now, if you ask me, God, the mighty Yah, gave a specific direction. He said, don't pick it. Leave it. Did he say pick it for the poor and box it up and hand it to them? So let's not miss the message. The message is egalitarianism. Leave it in the field. Teach the poor to service themselves. You've carried them this far, let them carry themselves the rest of the way. That is egalitarianism. That is one of the main driving lessons and forces of the original Constitution. It is the main cog of a free market. So when we start to talk about law and the two versions, the original Constitution, really, egalitarianism, giving of yourself but forcing education. Don't give the man to fish, teach him to fish. It is different. We are not socialists. We are egalitarians. We do all we can to help lift up our brother, lift up our sister. That is what this is about. This is not about a democratic socialist mindset. Because what you experience today is not the law. It is the law of Satan. It is confusion. It is deception. At every turn you are deceived. You are told that you are getting a hamburger and somebody's giving you a pork chop on a piece of bread. And then you're telling yourself it's a hamburger. Words mean things. Now, once upon a time there was this nation. This nation was known as Khazar, or Khazaria, for those who want that information. Now, in the country of Khazaria, there was freedom of religion. You could worship any deity you wanted to. Now, we're going back 800, as in the Romans would describe it, 800 AD. Okay? So, when you look at the Khazar nation, the barbarians were at the gates. All other nations were preying upon them. However, they were the mightiest nation in the Middle East. In the Baltic, all the way out through the Baltic Middle East, all the way out, they were the most powerful at the time compared to their neighbors. They had the biggest military might. But if their neighbors united, they could not beat them, could not defend themselves. They would be attacked from too many sides with too many soldiers at too much of a time. So there was a faith outside of their walls that had the second largest army. They were known as the Jews, believe it or not. At that time, the synagogue of Satan descended on this kindly king and told him and poured honey into his ear, as Satan does, that if you convert and convert your nation. Now that's when the nation of Khazaria died, as they became a Jewish state known as Khazar. These were the Ashkenazi descendants, about 2.5% of what is presently known as the Jewish population. They own, they run everything. They have taken it all, and you have given it to them.
Yes, sir, true.
Willingly, just as Satan wants. He didn't hold a gun to your head. He didn't hold a gun to your parents' head. He didn't force anybody. He said, oh, things are bad over there, but look how beautiful it is over here. Just come right on over here and sign on the dotted line. And that's what we did. So, in this country known as Khazaria, or Khazar, they basically became the Jewish nation. Okay? The original erection of a Jewish nation, or what they call the second coming of the Jewish reality. Now, they don't tell you that in public. They don't talk about it in the open. But you have the Torah and the Talmud. And if you go, because all of us here, I mean, we look at the old, what you call the Old Testament, whatnot. Everybody has comfortable with saying they believe in the Torah, correct? Oh, yes, sir. Well, the Talmud is an alternative book. The same, but different. This is Satan's book. It comes from Babylon. Okay? It is a manual for the natural manifestation of the principality on earth. Now, many people want to tell you, don't worry about man. Worry about a principality. It's a spiritual battle. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you actually go and you do a little bit of research, and if anybody wants to write this big term down, it's called etymology. Etymology of words. Well, a principality can be spiritual and it has a natural manifestation. That natural manifestation is the divine right to rule. The kings believed it. Now you have to understand, when we start to talk about this, the king, everybody thinks he's a monarch, right? Who's the East Indies Trading Company? Anybody know? Who's up on their slave trade? Who's the East Indies Trading Company?
Was it Dutch West Indies?
Correct.
Yeah, trade company.
Now, that is a specific corporation. Now, what happened is they created a deal with the king. King being government. Mm-hmm. Corporation being corporation. When a government and a corporation come together, it is what? Fascism.
Fascism, yeah.
Fascism has been here a long time. Adolf Hitler did not create it. It is not his brainchild. He merely took it and ran with it. This dates all the way back into the time of Babylon. This is their way of thinking. They will use your neighbors through a partial agreement to uplift and enrich them so that they will oppress you. It's the merger of a church, a company, and the state. All one and the same rolled up. This is fascism. Fascism has been around for a long, long, long time. It really boils down to fascism as a type of Marxism. And there has been a struggle between what you call the iron fist Marxist, Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler. Oh, you don't want to believe? Bang. You don't want to believe? I'm going to put you in the oven. You don't want to believe? I'm going to cut your throat. But this isn't the game. The game is free will. The game is about you choosing. So to fear these men and these creatures like Adolf Hitler, you should not at all, because they can't win. It isn't how the game is played. The one you want to fear is Slick Willie, the guy who comes up on stage. He looks pretty. She looks pretty. They talk beautiful. They're eloquent, well-spoken, charisma, pizzazz. Because what will you do? You will willingly follow this creature.
Yep, it's true.
The only people that will willingly follow Adolf Hitler are people who are already lost. Okay? They're not. Is there redemption for them? I'm not the Father. I mean, if they've done the unforgivable sins, then no. But could they find their way back? Could you go to the pearly gates and see Adolf Hitler sitting at the table? Possible. It truly is. It just depends. It really, really depends. I cannot judge him. Okay? I cannot judge his spirit. I can judge his actions and activities on this planet. But it is not my job nor my authority to judge his spirit and tell him where he is going to end up. Because then that's where I'm going. See, so a long time ago, as these Ashkenazis, they attempted to form a very large and powerful nation. However, there were men with big swords and angry faces that decided to storm the borders of Khazar. And Khazar was pulled asunder. However, the Ashkenazis that wormed into the Khazarian nation, who ate it up from the inside, who destroyed its thoughts, its theories, and any possibility that could be a good place to be. They fled the nation of Khazar, and they started to head west. They made their roots in other nations. Do you guys know who Beauregard Forsten is? The right-hand advisor to Alexander the Great. Pure Ashkenazi. Came from Khazar. Was raised, bred, and educated in their temples. And he was at the right hand of Alexander the Great, one of the greatest conquerors that we've ever seen on the earth. Now we can go forward, and we can name names. But let's talk about all of the evolution as they moved from the Greek rule. Now everybody has an apothecary, right? Everybody knows what's in it and what it's about.
Sure.
It is the book of captivity during the time of the Greeks. Correct, Pastor?
Yes, sir.
So you can read all about what the Ashkenazis did there. Well, guess what? There are the Church of Satan, or the Nazi, the National Socialist, the Fascist. It is right in front of your face. You just have not taken the time to step back and look at the facts to have a greater comprehension of what is going on around you. Okay? The Nazi or the Ashkenazi, okay, as the Greek Empire fell and gave way to the Italians, what did they do? Well, they started to pour honey into the new rulers. And they found a man that was good for them. It's a little bit later on down the road. But his name, okay, was actually, he's the very first pope in creation. Now, some people believe that Paul is the first pope. But I am here to tell you the Catholic Church and the very first pope is Constantine.
Yes, sir. True.
Okay? And Constantine's idea was to make himself Jesus. And what we say Pharisees, but the Nazis. The Nazis stood in his ear. The Nazis spoke to him and said, yeah, this is possible. They gave him a title, the Vicar of Christ. That is not a self-appointed title. It is a Satan-appointed title. And they told him the title, and what did he do? Accepted it willingly. Which is exactly what Satan wants. And once he did that, the Roman nation was doomed. The Roman nation started as a republic.
True.
Freedom.
True.
Liberty. They had all the underpinnings. Everything that the nation of Yah would represent. But they failed. It was all about free choice. So when you look at this story, as we progress into the captivity of our people within Italy, within the Roman Empire, as it spread, it was the spread of the Ashkenazi faith. The Romans believed that they would prosper by marrying and merging their trade ships and their crop yields with government enforcement. So what is that? Private industry merging with government. We're right back to being Nazis. Now, it is National Socialism. So to get your benefit or to get your opportunity in the Roman nation, you must give. Now, we're going to start to talk about the same but different. We're going to use that terminology. Now, the same but different means this. Socialism and egalitarianism, they're pretty close. They're pretty darn close. They're the same, but different. So everything, to me, that Lucifer chooses to do on this planet is the same with a slight twist. Because he wants people to choose him just as we choose Yah, or just as we choose to follow the Christ. Okay? So what we're really talking about here is ideology. Forcing your hand will not work. He cannot prove his point. Lucifer is attempting to prove a point. And Yah is attempting to prove a point to Lucifer. Okay? That's what really brings the fire out when we start talking about this subject. So, socialism. Well, you take your money out of your pocket and you hand it to that person. It's socialism. This is what the Romans entered into. To give of yourself freely. But that form of helping your neighbor teaches them no lesson. It gives them no moral value. It gives them no substance. It gives them no backbone. There is no nature there. The only thing they know how to do is this. God said, be egalitarian. You're going to help them. You're going to provide. But you will show them that it takes work. That nothing in life is free. It's the same, but different. It's a slight hook at the end, sometimes in the middle. And these are the things that, especially us, we need to be aware of. We should never make a rash decision. No Israelite should ever make a quick, rash decision, because I'm telling you that the facts and the things that are around you in this world do not permit you to do so. Things are not black and white. You will find yourself on the wrong side of a decision quickly, thinking that you were doing the right thing. So, when we start to look at, as these Ashkenazis of the Nazi Empire has riddled and conquested every country through voluntary ideological change, not through war, not through bomb, not through rape, not through murder. But it is, but a little different. The rape and the murder and stuff is supposed to instill fear in the population. And the government says, well, we'll be there to protect you. That's what the Romans said. You guys don't need what? Swords. Give your sword to us. The government will protect you. You're getting protection, which is the same as what Yah said. But Yah said, wait, don't leave your personal protection to anyone else. So it's the same, but different. It is a slight change in the choices, a slight change in the presentation. Now, as the Romans expanded their empire, and more they leaned on the idea of force. They left the idea, because this is the problem with those who follow Lucifer. They become arrogant. They become self-righteous. They hold power unto themselves. And then what do? They stop asking you to bend your knee and they chop your leg off so you can't stand. And they call that kneeling. But it ain't the same. That's why the Roman Empire came apart at the seams. Now, during the fall of the Roman Empire, let me tell you, you are about to experience such a thing in your lifetime. Only because of technology, it is going to be worse. Because of society's demand on technology, it is going to be worse. Now, I'm not here, I'm not a troglodyte. I don't hate technology. Okay? I don't have a problem. It's its use. Nothing in this world that is created, to me, in my opinion, is evil. It can be either or. Because it takes what? The free will and choice of a man's hand to make it evil. It also takes the same to make it righteous and good. So do not fear the things that are around you. You must use what is around you, and what you cannot use because it is too riddled or too destructive, too nasty for you to be able to mold it into something good, disregard it. if you can take one of their tool systems or operations, remove all of their influence, and make it do exactly what you want to do and serve Yah, then you have changed that tool into a righteous instrument. Because it is just a tool. A tool can do nothing without the hand of a master craftsman. You can build nothing. You can create nothing. You can do nothing with that tool if you do not put someone's hand on it. And it is their intent, their heart, their mind, that now creates evil or good. Pastor Dallas talked many times about the intent. What is in a man's heart? What is in a man's mind as he carries out activities? I'm going to tell you, he talked about how they built with one hand, and I remember he was on stage, he was talking about they were building with one hand, you see me fighting with the other. Anybody remember that video? Was anybody here for that? Yes, I was, even though I wasn't here. I mean, how do you kill a man that you love? You ever thought about that? How difficult a task it is to kill another human being with nothing but love in your heart. Think about it for a second. Now, Satan says, well, just kill him. It's the same but different. Jesus, the Lord, the Almighty, He demands you have love in your heart. Look, if you have to, you don't hate the individual. You hate what they're doing, and you got to bring it to an end. It is now duty to your community, to yourself, to your own temple.
Come on, sir.
Okay? But you have to do it with love. And I tell you, I have failed in that department.
Yes, sir.
Because as we talk about this today, I want to be honest with everybody. At one point in time, anything that is in that book, short of homosexuality and bigotry, I have committed it. Over and over again. Notice, murder was not something I told you I didn't do. It's the truth. I was a murderer. I've killed them all. Babies, children, women, adults, men, whole villages. You understand? I am not proud of my activities, but thankful to Yah, there was a way out. But this is the mindset. As a military man, you will be told to love your nation. You will be told to die for your flag. You will be told to killing those enemies is a good thing. Chopping up their babies, burning down villages, stomping their heads in, butting the brains of 13-year-old children right out of their head with your rifle. That these are all necessary evils because the end justifies the means. Who ever heard that before? Oh, wait. That's a fascist, Marxist statement. The end justifies the means. I'm going to get you to freedom and utopia and love and nurturing and caring and helping your neighbor, but we got to do whatever we got to do to get there. It's a difference of ideology. So as the Roman Empire fell apart and the barbarians raped, pillaged, and plundered, where did the Ashkenazis go? The vestibule from the main temple boarded a boat. The only reference I can see and or find anywhere which is not ironclad, I'm going to tell you that right now, it is the Mogra. That was the name of the boat, supposedly. I could be wrong, and anybody who knows the truth can correct me. I have no problem with that. The correction is always open. I am not greater than anyone in this room. I fall down, I fail, I stumble, I make mistakes. So, in the reality, you see that these gentlemen boarded a boat and they were received in great fervor, party, big hog. Of course, everybody knows what a hog is, right? Big hog displayed on the table. All the all of the royal amenities provided to these gentlemen fleeing the Roman Empire. Who and what were they being greeted by? By the king that was soon to be known as the British Empire. Okay? Ashkenazis have marched across the world. But what are they? Does anybody know what they're chasing? Anybody? Anybody? They're chasing this plot of land you're on right now. Why? Anybody know? Because this is where the Lord Yah sent His children, the Israelites, better known to you as the Cherokee Nation. And I want you to spend your due diligence looking into this information. You understand? Yes, sir. No, you don't. You comprehend. See if it's tricking you. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Words that's what they use. Words are weapons. Okay? Words are weapons. So come to a greater comprehension of the linguistics and the language that you are experiencing. At the present moment, because you were born here and whatnot, it is your native tongue at the moment. But the reality, Yah's native tongue in this nation and in this land is called Old English. It is not what we call modern English. It is based out of what's called proper English, which comes across the ocean from the British Kingdom. Now, Satan was traveling west looking for the Israelites. He wants them. He wants them bad. Why? Because Gentiles was already going to hell. Whether they choose to go to heaven or not, he wants the root. So he's been chasing those American Indians for centuries. Now, it just so happened he got lucky and he ran across the Africans in the process of getting to the Cherokees. Okay? And as you look at the African situation, and are you really to understand where the British Empire and the Ashkenazis produced the wealth to be able to own the world as they do today, research a homeland of our bloodline known as Africa, the entire continent. They have murdered, maimed, killed, destroyed over resources, power, wealth. Wealth so they could do what? Build ships. Why? Because they got to get at the Cherokees. And they're going to use their Israelite brothers and their land to do so. This is the reality. So as we plunder and pillage the African nation, where did slavery come from? I mean, what happened? Anybody know who the Black Pope is? Anybody knows where his seat of power is? It's in Portugal. And the White Pope and the Black Pope and the Queen, they all got together and said, guess what? We have been shipping these guys over to our brethren that live in the Middle East, the synagogue of Satan, the Jew. We have been shipping the African man over there and the women to create slaves to work in the fields for the Arabs and, well, what you would really call Semites. They don't even realize that they're Semites. Okay, by blood. Not by the walk, not by faith, not by the law, by blood. Okay? So with this being said, the queen said, well, send me a report. I'm going to get a ship. Okay? This ship was known as, does anybody know? I'm going to take that as a no. It was known as the Tepatu. The Tapetu housed 15 gentlemen who sailed into the Middle East to meet with the Jews. And the Jews said, look at them work. They work all day. They work in the hot sun. Look how strong they are. Look how broad their shoulders are. They're dumb as a box of rocks. They'll believe anything you tell them, but look at them work. We can sell you some of these. But they spoke the language. They had been slaves long enough. And they had commingled with another group of slaves. Where slave came from. The word slave, etymology of words, it means things. It means Slovakian, which is what? What you perceive or have been told is white. Every single Slovakian at the time, there were no black individuals in the nation of Slovakia. They were enslaved, they were beat, they were raped. Everything that anyone has ever told you a slave experienced, the reason why they call them slaves is because they compare the activity that happened to that group of people to what the original slaves experienced. That's why they call them slaves in America. Oh, well, they just like them white people over there. We rape them, we beat them, we kill them, we work them to death. Oh, they're the same, so they're slaves. Ergo, how the title of slave was used. So understand or comprehend, when you start to look at this information, that realize that the evilness of the world comes from one location. I don't care what name you give it. I don't care what face you put on it. I don't care if it's purple, polka dotted, black, white, green. I don't care if it doesn't have a face at all. You have two ideologies competing, and only two. You have the ideology and house of Yah, and you have the ideology of Satan or Lucifer. There are no other choices. And the atheist and the theist, they can make up whatever story they want. You know, they want to talk about, oh, it's natural selection. Yeah, you're right. Oh, there's evolution. Yeah, you're right. But here's a news flash. God created a system that would operate on its own that did not need His constant input. I mean, a second-rate engineer is going to build something that's got to turn every knob and mix every beaker. And God said, all right, I'm going to go sit on the couch. Everything's good. It'll run on its own. Now I can do what? I can listen to prayer. I can meet the needs of my people. I can spend the time that I need to. God's not stupid. Evolutionary system. It is not in opposition to the Bible. You've just been told by the other side that evolution is where you came from. Nonsense. However, evolution does exist. It is a system of operation, a functioning ecosystem that was built and created by Yah to function on its own. If the system no longer needs something, what does it do? It exterminates it. Wipes it off the face of the planet. If you do X and I no longer need the bilgabug or whatever you want to call it to fertilize this plant and fertilize that plant, if the system no longer needs it, bink, the bug goes away. It is an adaptive thinking system. If you do not believe this, you should look at the world around you. And the idea that this came together all on its own is ludicrous. It takes an intelligent, functioning, psychological genius to create what is going on here. And it is a process. You know, did you know that reincarnation exists? Anybody in this room know that? Not for your soul, but definitely for your body. You die. You go in the dirt. You decay. You break down back in your natural minerals. Those natural minerals then travel through the dirt and come up into food. A new baby is born, eats those minerals and eats those material and becomes an adult. Reincarnation. It is the same material, the same substance, the same fabric. It didn't go anywhere. It exists. You and you and you and you, you're all part of somebody who lived here before you. The exact same matter and molecules. God created the law. Matter cannot be destroyed. It can merely change shape and metamorphosize. But it can also then do that repeatedly. So as you are a human being, which is another word you want to watch out for.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
But as you are an individual, living, breathing creature, creation of Yah, you will be translated into dirt, dust, chemicals, whatever, and those things will be reborn somewhere else. Now, I'm sorry if you come back as a tree and not another living, breathing person that could be a temple to house another spirit of Yah. Can you impact that? I don't think so. It doesn't really describe that in the Bible. It doesn't tell me, but I can tell you scientifically this is the process that takes place. The temple is reborn and given to someone else to house that new spirit, to make its journey, to see if it goes to the promised land. Okay? It's called linear thinking and linear timeline. We all live in a linear, finite belief and understanding of what time is. Now, I know I've kind of went sideways, but this has really gotten good. And we're really going to start to talk about this because linear means flat, basic, beginning and end. That's the way you think. When I was born, I could not envision my existence. At some point, my consciousness took over and I could envision who I was. That is the beginning. At some point, my consciousness will cease to exist, and that is the end. No. It's the end of your ride and your chance to use your temple. That's all it is. And then somebody's going to take that temple, the natural ecosystem, break it down, and give that temple to someone else. You've had your shot. That's what it's about. Understand, the ideas that are in the world, they're nothing new. God told you that reincarnation and all these things did exist. But He told you what a soul was and how it differed from the flesh.
True.
There is reincarnation for the flesh. Okay? The flesh has the ability to mold and change itself, evolution over centuries. That has nothing to do with your soul. It's like changing the drapes in your house. It's like, okay, for these next 6 years, I no longer like blue. I'm going to hang red ones. Well, you have evolved a new taste. That's all it is. It's the same thing. But the spirit that dwells within the home will not be there forever. The individual. Eventually they will die. It's the same way. House, temple. House, you, spirit. Eventually you're either going to move out or you're going to die. And then the house will be what? Vacant. And what happens? Somebody else moves in. It is the exact same thing. And this, you really have to take a step back and really do due diligence and have come to a greater comprehension of the world that you exist in. These are the reason why certain priests back in the day prayed, contemplated for days. Didn't do anything else. Because that's what they were seeking, understanding, enlightenment. I do not think, in the Bible it does say that He will confound the wise. I'm not exactly sure to say the right quote. But I don't think you can find in the Bible where God says that your intellectual ability and your gift given to you is a bad thing. Where does He tell you not to use it? Anybody, show it to me. I will stand corrected. So logic is the gift of Yah. It is the device that will allow you to find what? Discernment. How can you have discernment without logic? It just has to be presented to you in the correct way for you to consume it. Everybody has a different way of consuming something. But hopefully, as we understand now, when people hear me say, well, there is such a thing as reincarnation. Most religions in the world that don't believe in reincarnation will freak out. The Christian will tell you, you're a heretic. Well, yeah, to you I am. It's all about a perspective and a greater comprehension of the actual facts and how your mind processes them. So these Ashkenazi gentlemen and ladies, and yes, they did use ladies. You see, one of the Jewish influences that they don't want to talk about. Who is absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the creature on this planet that can use their body and use their tongue to destroy man? This woman. And the Jews would put up specialized homes to teach the Jewish acolyte females in the ways of pleasure and fornication and love, as they called it. And then where did they send them? They were the concubines and the mistresses of the British Empire as the Roman Empire fell. Because, hey, Italian women are beautiful, right? That olive skin, they have the long, beautiful black hair. I'm not taking anything away from this room. It's about making a point. And when they got to Great Britain, or this kingdom, as the Romans seated, a figure that is real, that you believe is fictional, was anointed by an Ashkenazi priest to become the first and uniting king of the Britons. His name was King Arthur. He was the head, half-breed defender of the North Wall. And what was on the outside of the wall? The Woad Warrior. A tribe of individuals, men and women, that had a special kind of paint that was mixed with LSD and cocaine, and they would paint it directly onto their body. And you've seen it in the movies, but that blue streak, nothing but drugs. So when they hit the battlefield, oh yeah, they were trained before they hit the battlefield, but now when they hit the battlefield, you have a soldier on a massive LSD, cocaine-induced mental state of mind. And they're told, kill everything, kill it all, leave no stone unturned. These are what are called Woad Warriors. You used to have, they called them screaming ladies. And these women would paint their bodies. And they would come out extremely provocatively dressed onto a battlefield. Why? To distract the soldier that they're fighting against. I'm not being rude, but if you run around the battlefield and you got a bunch of breasts hanging out, and you ain't on drugs, you're going to be like, wait a minute. What the heck's going on here? Then the women would jump onto a soldier and pull small 4-inch daggers out and scream in this cocaine-induced rage as they continue to stab him to death. It didn't matter how many of the women died. They were called screaming ladies. They had other names for them too. Some people referred to them originally as banshees. Okay? Now, as the Roman Empire receded and started to draw back away from its lands because it could no longer maintain them, it could no longer maintain owning the land and enslaving the population. This is a historical fact. You can look it up. I hope that you do. As they receded, the Ashkenazi decided the fate of the Roman Empire. And how did they do so? They stayed behind. And they said, bye-bye, Romans. Oh, we're real sorry. Oh, we said we was going to be there forever, didn't we? My bad. Bye-bye. Oh, you lost? We didn't give you everything we promised? Bye-bye. They couldn't stop it. Nor could they strike at the Ashkenazis at that point because they were attempting to stay afloat themselves. And as the Ashkenazis, the tax collectors, the operators of the structure of the principality itself, abandoned ship and moved into the British Empire. The whole entire backbone network and structure. And what did they take with them and create when they got there? The English branch of the Catholic Church. Holy Roman Empire, Holy Catholic Church. Why do you think that, everybody says, well, the king, it was about divorcing his wives. He didn't want that woman no more. And he was trying to figure out a way to get rid of her in the faith of the Catholic faith and get another one. It was about his loins, his gratification of sexuality. Well, the Ashkenazi, they're the manipulators. Oh, yeah, we can help you out with that. We can help you out with that. And then eventually, the Black Pope, who you watch the movies, you watch all these movies about the British Empire and this particular, we're talking about the original King George and King Henry, of these gentlemen here where they were chopping off ladies' heads and so forth. Go back and look at them. But don't look at him. Research who the Black Pope is. Now see, the White Pope, who was garbed in white, the Black Pope looked identical, only his uniform was black. He was appointed to do unscrupulous, horrible, disgusting, degenerative things for the Catholic Church, like the homosexual recruiting of young boys. Okay? Because the Nazi has always believed in male testosterone faggotry.
That's true.
Not female faggotry. And I do not mean women. I'm not talking about women. Look at the Nazi Empire. They like gay people, right? But which homosexual did they not like? Every homosexual they lifted up were broad-shouldered, tall, big men, strong, fought like men, talked like men, killed like men, but made love to boys. That's what they want. The same, but different. Satan doesn't want the flaming faggot. Now, people can bombard my webpage or whatever, you call it whatever you want. I don't really care. But that's what it really is. Now, I can't speak to female homosexuality. Because in my research, it has been focused on the same but different. What does y'all want? He wants a strong, stand up, brother. He wants a strong, strapping young man who's going to stand on his feet. He's going to have morals. He's going to have character.
Yes, sir.
He's going to fight like a man. He's going to be a soldier. He's going to be a warrior. He can kill. He can grow crops. He can build a building. Look at them hands. Well, Satan wants the same thing, but he wants it a little bit different. He doesn't want no mealy-mouthed faggoty. He wants the same thing God does. But the idea, the unified force that creates the power of a righteous man, believe it or not, is family. So to twist different is let's destroy the family. So I want the same exact thing as him, except I want him to like boys. I don't want the little limp-wristed, put on a dress, stand in the corner. Ah. They don't want none of that. The Nazis didn't want it. Hated them as much as everybody else. Because Satan doesn't need that. Satan needs soldiers. And he needs them as close as he can get to the vision of a righteous man. As close as he can get. Why? Because it's about the deception. You believe that he's a good man. Because he can work all day, he can do everything he needs to do, just like every other man next to him, except at the end of the day, well, I'm going home to see my wife Sally, I'm going home to see Jimmy. And that's really what it's all about. He wants the same thing. He wants hard-working, devoted men. But he wants to get rid of you. Because even though you are a weakness, you are also strength.
That's the truth.
You are also power. You bring love and comfort and backbone to your man.
Glory.
So Satan has to have that, but it's got to be different. So it's the changing of the sex. Well, why? Because God said to go forth, be fruitful, and so it's the same without the multiplication. Go out, be fruitful, do your thing, but don't have any babies. It's that slight twist at the end. Nazi mentality, birth control. Nazi mentality, overpopulation. Okay? There is nothing in this world that does not fall into one of these two categories. Nothing. People want to claim all kinds of things. People want to say, I'm anarcho this. I'm a neo that. I got this going on. I'm not that. I'm a direct socialist. No, I'm a direct democracy. No, you're one of two things. You're free or you're not. That's it. Now, there's different flavors of severity from one point to the other. It's like going down the road every time you see a mile marker. That's all it is. You're just getting a little closer to the other end. It's the same. And if I can say, okay, you don't want this, well, how about this? Oh, yeah, okay, that ain't so bad. That ain't so bad. Yeah, we can deal with that. I can pay some taxes, right? So now, this is already off the table because you're over here. The goal is still ahead. And another compromise. We're going to give you this, we're going to give you this. Oh, no, that's too much. Okay, we'll give you this. And again, and again, and again. That's why there is no compromise. It's fictional. It does not exist. A compromise is a benefit to both people. You both give up something, and you both gain something. Well, in all your compromises in government, all your compromises in relationships and so forth, you have gained zero, and you have always lost. So is that a compromise? Is that two peoples coming together to achieve a goal? It's one person giving ground and the other person saying, I'll wait you out for the rest of the damn inches.
That's right.
I'll wait till your blockhead is out of the way and I'll get your kid to give me a few more inches.
That's right.
And then I'll get their kid to give me a few more inches. It's pushing the chains. Forever pushing the chains. This is the reason why when our forefathers wrote down the document and created the Constitution, the right for the people to take a public official or so forth and string him up from the neck until dead in public at noon in the middle of the downtown where everybody could see him. It's part of the law. These things you will find within the forefathers. Washington, Jefferson, not Hamilton. There are some of the forefathers that you will even find the first president of this union under the Articles of Confederation was a Moor. Anybody tell me what a Moor is? Pastor, do you? Yeah, you both got it right. Is a black man. Oh, look at your eyes. That's right, sister. A black man ruled this nation. Well, an African prince ruled this nation. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, we all look at George Washington as the first president of the United States of America? Well, there are a lot of things about old George that people should know. Good and bad. George was also humble enough not to accept the crown. Did anybody know that? It was a whole group. Who were they? The New Territory Expansionist Party. What does that mean? Who were they? They were the clergy and the Nazis from the damn Catholic Church. And they presented to George Washington a throne and a crown and said, "King yourself, and we will stand with you." Because, people need a king. That's what they said. People need divine rule. You can't just let them run around making decisions for themselves. Well, why not? Isn't that what the rule book says? Doesn't the rule book tell you can make decisions for yourself? Does it not say that you are equipped with the intellectual ability to discern, to judge? Whether you want to hear that or not, Christians out there? To judge what is going on around you and make the proper decisions on your own. Well, what is that? We ever heard that before? Personal sovereignty. What is personal sovereignty? You can do anything you want as long as you don't harm someone else. Everybody knows that's the Constitution, right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's how it was for 75 years. And during those 75 years, it was not peace. There was not peace in this land. Because the Nazi was doing everything he could to destroy the Israelite document known as the original Constitution. And Abraham Lincoln was the instrument that destroyed it. Gave him a big old throne. And he loved it. But what wouldn't he do? What wouldn't he do? Anybody know? During that period of time, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, really. If anybody has any questions at any point in time, please raise your hand. I know they have a microphone. If we have any internet questions or anything, because I know I just keep running at the mouth, and I will just keep right on going. I will not take a break. I will not pause. As those who spent 5 hours yesterday with me, hearing just about every, going over these topics, this is what I do. So, when you look at the situation of what was going on around our forefathers, now everybody wants to talk about, the Freemasons. The Freemasons is Satan. Yeah. But which one? You talking about the Scottish Rite? Which rite are you talking about? Because the Masons in America were builders. They were not Masonic. Thomas Jefferson was amazing. 33rd and 3rd degree. Everybody claims that's evil. Does anybody know that Thomas Jefferson stabbed a young gentleman to death on the White House steps during the war purge between the houses, the Masonic, and the builders? Anybody know there was a war?
Yes, sir.
That the Masons went to war. Because Satan needed a way in. So he went to war not with a nation. He said, okay, you guys got your freedom. Oh, you got me. You got me. So I'm going to say, King, you sign that damn friendship treaty. And you back on out of there. Because I'm going to come around another direction. And even though the king hated it, he made fun of him by all the other kings that were available on the lands. Man, you let them ragamuffins whip you. What are you doing? You the king. You got the largest empire in the world. You got the Holy Catholic Church behind you. And those scrubs over there whipped you? Well, why? I mean, people believe that these people were Christians. Were they? People believe a lot of things about the white man that was here. Who were they? What did they believe? Because I can tell you right now, I'm going to ask the question, if the Constitution is about this, if our forefathers are about this, are they Christians? If they truly understood the lessons in this book, egalitarian, freedom, sound money, free markets, personal property, it's all right here. They were Israelites. They rebelled against the Catholic Church. We will not pay your taxes. We will not pay your tithes. Why? Because God didn't say I had to. So they rebelled. What does God say? Obey the law of man until it what? Contradicts mine. Well, if you're not going to obey, what does that mean? It means you become a criminal. In the eyes of man. What were they? Were they terrorists? Absolutely. They were terrorists, rebels. The FBI today teaches their individual agents that Thomas Jefferson was one of the world's oldest and most dangerous, disgusting terrorists that has ever lived. Why? Because Thomas Jefferson sat down at a table and he pulled out some hemp marijuana paper, laid it on the desk, and he opened his Bible and set it at the top. And he says, all right, let's talk about freedom. And he started to write. Did you know that every single individual within the United States of America under the first two drafts of the Constitution was free? Every slave, every housemaid, everybody. One stroke of a pen. Jefferson, my great grandfather, direct blood descendant. Alexander Hamilton destroyed that idea because Jefferson, the problem with Jefferson is he was too untrusting, maybe might be a good word. You see, they decided, because revolution, if you read the Constitution, armed revolution is the last choice, right? What are you supposed to do before then, the Constitution says? You're supposed to talk it out. Try to come to remedy. Try to come to an understanding. Try to come to comprehension. Make peace. And at the time, what ruled this land? British common law. Which came from where? Which the state. Which beget from what? The merger of the Catholic Church, the corporations, and the king. Which is fascism. British common law, if you look at it, the state, when in doubt, always wins. No matter what your case is. Now, we're going to start to delve into some real quandaries. So, we came into America. They revolted at the end. But first, my grandfather, he said, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to get on this here boat. I'm going to go stand in front of the king in the king's court and demand our freedom. I'm going to tell him he's wrong to his face. I'm going to stand on my own feet. I'm going to go into his courtroom. And I'm going to tell him about the law. Well, he lost. He's lucky he escaped England with his head attached to his body. Really. If he wouldn't have, I wouldn't be here. That's how close I came to not existing today. About 14 minutes when the king attempted to seize him at the pier. But realize, if you don't know, black men, his brothers, hid him to obey the king's men. Okay? And then he made it onto a boat. He started to sail home. You were given a much different story in your school system. You were given the public fool interpretation of what they want you to know and what they want you to regurgitate. Now, while Jefferson was away, and let me tell you, you ever been on a sailboat? Who's been on a sailboat? A sailboat. An actual sails. You? How long does it take to get somewhere? Quite a while. She's right. You guys should get on a boat and sail from England to here. Even a conventional boat, it takes a little while. Well, on his way home, Alexander Hamilton, the piece of trash, the Ashkenazi agent himself, embedded in the government, altered the Constitution. Why? Not only that, to set the seeds to destroy this one. Oop, I forgot about that thing. Alexander Hamilton removed the idea of freeing the Israelites. Why? Because the more the kings in Africa said, we will not supply you with gold. We will withdraw our money if you free those disgusting creatures that turned on us and unseated us from our African power structure. Moors right here. 3 of them signed the Constitution. Did you know? 3 black princes from Africa signed the Constitution way back in the 1700s. Right here on the soil. So Alexander Hamilton struck the freeing of the slaves from the Constitution. Happily, later on down the road, Adams' son shot him in the face and gave him what he deserved. That's old world rule. We're going to meet outside. We have an impasse. You are not righteous. You are evil, and I must root you out. It is you or me. Hamilton lost. And so did Satan on that day. He lost that engagement. Now we need to return to a world that looks a little more like that. That's right. And people say, well, that's barbaric. Really? An armed society is a polite society.
That's right. That's true. I mean, that's right.
You walk in somewhere and everybody's got a gun, how much filth, flarn, and filth are you going to start flinging? Drug dealers, gang bangers, street thugs, hoodlums. How many of them are there going to be? There's still going to be some. Because some of them have testosterone and huevos to continue to try. Because they're sick in the head. But right now you have an explosion of crime and criminality because there is no balance. There is no check within the community. A cop is not a balance. A cop is a pirate. By name. Everybody talks about the etymology of words. Why are they cops? You know, cop. Let's look at that word. What does it mean? Nope. It's an Israelite word. Citizen on patrol. The citizen soldier. You will hear these people espouse all kinds of horrible things. Posse comitatus. Got to get rid of it. George Bush said, throw it away. What is it? Anybody ever read it? You know what's in it? It's the Israelite Code of Conduct. And what you were supposed to have on a daily basis. Your rifle, your shot, your sidearm, your sword, and if necessary, a uniform. It is called the militia commitment when you translate it. That's what posse comitatus means. What is a militia? It's an Israelite army. It's a citizen army. Hello? Now, people want to argue with me about the Constitution not being found right here. Well, today's Constitution, you're right. It's not found here. You go out to California and pick up Satan's Bible, you'll find it there. Satan's Bible, it talks about murdering and killing and all that stuff too, but it talks about giving to the poor and to the needy. Socialistically, not egalitarianly. And believe it or not, I don't know, but you should research into looking at it to see the differences. See how it's so close. It's so tempting. Ooh, look at the fruit. Oh, man, that strawberry is so red. Oh, it's bitter. It looks just like the other strawberry. But the taste is bitter, not sweet. That's the only difference. It is a slight twist in the end. So, when you start to get a greater comprehension and you start to want to understand, because that's what we all want to stand under the authority. But whose authority do we want to stand under? Okay, you are the sovereign. You must give your faith, your heart, your soul willingly. That means you make the ultimate choice. Now, just because they say, the book says God is the ultimate authority. But guess what? He abdicated that to you. Can he make you go to heaven? Sure he can, but will he? No. Can he make you go to hell? Sure he can, but will he? No. He said, I have this power, and by the word in this book, I'm going to grant it to you. It's all yours. Make the choice. You now sit at the head of the table. I'm over here. Lucifer's over there. Pick which direction you're going. Live your life as you see fit. So they present a decision, which both look oh so close. Oh so close. With that hook at the end. It's like Satan and Jesus are running neck and neck, and then whoo, Satan shoots off this way. Okay? So they change things. And they have rooted out everything. Person. Well, let's continue with the cop. Citizen on patrol. Okay? Does anybody know what the etymology of policeman is? Proctorian. What is a proctorian, Pastor? He is the personal guard of the Roman Empire and report directly. Well, they were originally called proctorians. That is the original designation. But yeah, pectorian, proctorian, same creature. They were the guys who wore all red, had the white capes, and the big hat, and they didn't report to Caesar. They reported to the church. Their headquarters was in the Catholic Church. So you got a bunch of what? Policemen running around in your nation. You ever looked at some of you really ought to get on the internet or look at TV for just long enough to look around the world. There are police everywhere. They call them police. Policia, Palazia, whatever version of the same word. The same uniforms, the same lights, the same sirens, the same everything. They are the proctorians of the Catholic Church. There to police the lands. But you have to remember, the idea of Satan is fascism. Okay? So what is a policeman? You should research the letter of Mark. Please write that down. Or the letter of Marquis. The letter of marque is where the world's rulers came together in a very brutal period. And the pirates used to sail the oceans. And whether you believe it or not, pirates are not what you think they are. Pirates eventually, well, back in the day, they were the gentlemen like you. They said, okay, the king's giving me some grief. I'm going to round up some men. We're going to get our own boat, and we're going to cut our own way in this world. Did they not pay taxes? Well, of course. Did that make them criminals? Yes. So they called them pirates. Now, the different kings, well, they were losing navy boats. Because in America, we paid the French to go to war with the British. Everybody seems to want to tell me in England and in France that Napoleon Bonaparte was a bad man. Was he? He came to a financial agreement. You should read his letters. He said, Mr. Washington, I've got a problem, and it's the same problem you have. That damn church up there in England. It's ruining my lands. It's poisoning my people. Now, was he an Israelite? No. But he knew the enemy. He said, I'm going to sell you this land here in America for this much gold. I need that much gold because I'm going to raise an army. I'm going to invade Great Britain and I'm going to burn it to the ground, church and all. That's what Napoleon said. My people will not bow to that church. They will not bow to the Nazi. The French will be a unified France and we create a great French kingdom. Now, these were the promises of Napoleon. He failed because he did not walk where you walk. But you know what? He rolled the dice. He threw everything at him he could, the kitchen sink. You're talking about a pagan who took on Satan. And we paid him to do it. Go back and look at your history. Look at the different purchases, Louisiana Purchase and so forth. What was that money for? The French didn't need to give it up. Napoleon wanted to fight a war. And he was tired of the King of England blowing up his transport ships, calling him a heretic and telling him to kneel at the throne of the Pope. He was tired of hearing it. I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. What are you talking about? I'm going to bring my army in there. I'm going to cut your guts out. And he did. Now, he lost. But what did he do for us? You know, we talk about the power of Yah and who he uses. Well, I'll tell you what. That pagan was Yah's man. I guarantee you. Because he bought the time for the American soldier to get his crap into one sock. Look back at the first few engagements. Oh my Lord, we were getting killed, clobbered. We go out there like idiots. We stand in the field. Oh, we're outnumbered 6-1. Well, let's stand here in a straight line and shoot at them. And they'll stand there in a straight line and shoot at us. And we'll see who comes out on top. It's simple arithmetic at that point. So y'all said, okay, I got this general. I'm going to grab him up from the French because French are now our ally in this endeavor. Of course, the French, we all know there were a problem with the French. There's a reason why they didn't show up. Hopefully we'll be able to get into that. But the French, okay, sent a general over here. Anybody know his name? To train our men. And what he turned them into was guerrillas. Why? Because he met with the Cherokee and the Apache Indian, and they started to create a battle plan using the environment around them to fight the war. And when he took the Cherokee Israelite brave, and he said, look here, teach me about America. I don't understand the territory. I've never been here. I'm a Frenchman. You know, bonsoir, and all that other stuff. Not to upset any French people out there. But he was a Frenchman. So he says, I need to know the land, the territory, and you guys have been here the longest. You guys know the terrain. Hundreds of generations have grown up here. Help me out. Well, the American Indian, the Cherokee, showed them the terrain and the property and so forth. And he started a regimentation of training men. He created Minutemen, or your very first cops. And what these Minutemen would do is they would patrol, and if they saw British soldiers, they would scatter from the road and disappear into their surroundings. And the British, because Satan, when he thinks he's winning, he's arrogant. They come marching down the road.
That's right.
5 guys pop out from bushes and blow away 50 men. Therefore, by creating guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare is an Israelite tactic. It was born and bred here in the States by Israelites and utilized by Israelites to destroy the forces of Britain. That's the reality. That's what created this nation. However, in Great Britain and over there, you actually had 2 competing ideologies. Same ideology, but actually competing. You had the Fabians that we talked about. They're the Satanists, the Nazi. Fascism, they use underhand, distraction, influence, money, whores, whatever they got to use to get you to willingly submit. And then you had the other side, the king's men. Kill them all, just keep sending men over, eventually we'll overrun them. And the Fabians said, that could be a problem. If we're weakened enough, the French will invade again. If we're weakened enough, the Irish and the Scottish, who were their slaves, will rebel and we won't be able to put them down. We will lose Africa. If we risk continuing to invade this small section of Israelite, we will lose the large section we already got. We can't do that. So the Fabians said, pull the troops back. Stop the fighting. Sign the friendship treaty. Give them what they want. Back up a second. Take a breather. Deceive them into believing that it's over. So then, what happened? The Fabians said, well, we're going to get a bunch of nice-looking young men. We're going to put some suits on them, some ties, a little briefcase, and some money. And they're going to sail across. And what are we going to call them? Lawyers! And so created the push of law. Now, when I brought out British common law, you must understand that they gave a name to the law in that book. Our forefathers here on this soil gave a name to the law. It is the natural common law, not British common law. Any moron, and I'm going to call him that, who wants to stand up and tell me that we fought a war and lost thousands of people and shed all that blood because of the oppression of British common law, turned around and spoon accepted British common law right after, has got to be stupid. Abraham Lincoln brought back British common law by the force of the sword. Yeah. The tyrant king. Why do you think he sits on a big giant throne? Why don't any of our other forefathers have a throne to sit on? I mean, come on. Thomas Jefferson? Come on, at least a stool. Adams, who was the one who was actually better than the rest, by no matter the financial hardship, still refused to own slaves. Even though the others opened up the Bible and said, look, that's right here. He said no. Don't he get a stool? He got a little bust. He don't get a throne? Why does Abraham Lincoln get a throne? Abraham Lincoln used lawyers, and here's the interesting part. During the separation period, as Abraham Lincoln was talking to South Carolina. Now, South Carolina was not a member of the Confederation. Not at all. And the particular military base on the island outside of the port, Abraham Lincoln said, you will service my men, you will pay the tax. They said, well, wait. There's no standing army here, buddy. You out of here. We're going to leave the Union. We don't want no more of this mess. So he took unarmed boats, Abraham Lincoln, completely unarmed boats, sailed them. They stacked them full of people, women and children of the soldiers in the fort. You following me? Ammunition and food too, but the women and the children on the fort. And then they told everybody the ammunition was in the belly. And Abraham Lincoln said, I'm going to the fort. I'm going to service that fort, and you will pay the tax. And South Carolina said, that's our fort. You will remove your troops, and you will leave our land, because you no longer have authority here. If you send your boats, we will sink them. And Abraham Lincoln sailed them into the harbor on purpose, under his own volition, killing every woman and child on those boats to instill hatred of the South. Under the second Articles of Confederation, hopefully you realize when the first 9 presidents of America each served approximately a year's term under the Articles of Confederation, and the first president was a black man. Then along came George Washington into the concept that we have now, where they reformed. Well, Abraham Lincoln, after they basically sunk the boats, every single newspaper said, oh my God, what have you done? And they started writing. Right? Started writing. You know what Abraham Lincoln did? He called up U.S. military and he said, go round them up. 40,000 journalists shot, hung, or drugged by horseback to their death because they spoke the truth. Their families, you know where their families went? Internment camps, right here. Very first president of this country to run internment camps. He's a Nazi. And he ran these internment camps. Killed hundreds of thousands of American citizens who what? Didn't agree with him. And that's the reason why they died. Oh, you taught that in school? You ever heard that? Do you know he is known as the Tyrant King? There's a reason. He is the Tyrant King. Murder, death, destruction, mayhem, slaughter. He knew the rules. And he pushed the boundaries on purpose. He didn't force them to kill those women and children. It was a choice. Oh, you got to stop that ammunition from getting there. Yup. But you got to choose to kill all these women and children to do it. And you know, if you go back and read the story, the guy who fired, I cannot remember his name, they said he stood and wept because he had no choice. He had to reclaim the fort. He had to make a stand. Well, the fort got shelled, so on and so forth, and then eventually the troops marched out of the fort, and now begins the Civil War. Okay? And what happens in the Civil War? the South, did you know that under the Second Articles of Confederation, which is where the South formed its own nation, you could not be a member of the Southern Confederacy unless you were a free stater? Who here in school has ever been taught what a free stater is? Anybody ever heard it? Anybody? It means...
I've heard of the term, but it was very brief, and they didn't really go into explain it.
It means the outlaw of slavery. So all these idiots that fly the rebel flag and talk about all them dirty niggers, they're so stupid, they don't even realize that they come, well, the South gonna rise again. Well, you moron, that means you got to eliminate slavery and you better get used to talking to the black man and everybody else that comes along is a different color. Because that's what the South stood for. Why? Because the only reason why the South kept slaves is because it was the only way they could meet the taxes that was inflicted upon them by the North. It's the only way. And they said, enough. We can't pay them taxes. We're going to separate. We're going to use our constitutional right. We're going to take a step out of this union. We're going to free the slaves. We're going to find a different way. We're going to go a different direction. We might stick with the Constitution. We might not. But we can't do this, and we can't afford to support you. Here's another thing. At the time, everybody, you hear all these songs, you see it in the movies, this ridiculousness. Jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton. Did you know that cotton was less than 5% of the growth in America? What was it? Marijuana. Everything came from marijuana. Food, clothes, rope, textiles. Now, people want to talk about this, and people want to get upset about dope smokers and things of that nature. I don't know what to say. I do not think it affects you the way that you think. Really, if you look at the plant itself, there's a reason why it does so many things. It is the only plant on the planet that the human being, the human eye, can distinctively tell the difference between the sex. It is made for you, man, to tell the difference between the male and the female. Well, who made it that way? It wasn't Lucifer. Did he create the heavens and earth? Did he create all the plants for the man to use? We really must have discernment and think about it. Does that mean that I think everybody should run around and get stoned? No. But that plant is a medicine to treat everything from menstrual cramps to insomnia to cancer. And it was made in a fashion that each and every one of you could tell the difference between the medicine and the textile by your own naked eye. I'm thinking, to me, in my opinion, if God created it that way, there must be a use for it somewhere. Now, is it to run around and get high? I don't think you should be high all the time. That's got to be bad. There are different things you do. But the British have now already shown that back in the day, the reason why the Israelite nation was so intelligent, they consumed it. It was in their bread. It was in their porridge. It grew everywhere. George Washington came over here, right? He came over here and said, oh my Lord, what do I see? It's Indian hemp. We got this stuff growing in the fields over there. What did he say? Sow the seed as far as you can. You can do anything with it. Build houses. Anything you want with this stuff. DuPont Chemical Company and all these individuals band together. Let's even look. MAD. Anybody know what MAD is? Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Do you know of its sister? Partnership for a Drug-Free America. They target marijuana. They talk a little bit about cocaine. They talk a little bit about heroin. Little touch. But their mainstay is that plant called marijuana. Well, who are on the board of directors and funds? DuPont, Bush, Anheuser-Busch, in case you don't know who the Bush I'm talking about. The liquor companies, all the government regulated and accepted drugs. And DuPont said, well, you know what? It takes about X amount of money to turn 4 acres of trees into this pile of paper. And they need us to do it. Or you can make the same pile of paper without us out of hemp in 1 acre. Every 3 months instead of every 25 years. So DuPont said, this must stop. We need power. They must come to us for their needs and their necessities. We must cut off self-sufficient operation. That's what it's about. So we can have an argument on that topic for as long as you want. But your country, your nation runs on it. Your Navy boats. Every rope today is made out of it. Every military uniform that anyone dons is made out of it. Every single one. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Your country uses it and processes it. They buy it from their other slave nation. Or their other slave region. Called Indochina. Why you think we went to war in Vietnam? Why you think we went to war with Japan? Because Japan invaded where we bought our hemp from. And then you go back and look, 1941, right before we went to war with Japan. United States State Department put out a video. Hemp for victory! And required every single farmer in America to start to grow hemp and marijuana and turn it over to government. And if you did not, you would go to prison.
True.
Now you can look that up. You can dispute it if you want. You can go on YouTube and watch the little black and white video. Watch them play the music. You'll see the little stamp and seal at the bottom, Department of Agriculture. They show you the little thing on the video, the actual license that was issued by your government. As soon as the war was over and they could produce it at pennies on the dollar by using Asian slaves, it was illegal again. Did you know Henry Ford created the combustion engine to run off of that? 100%. There's a reason why your car does not run on top dead center. Why? Why would I create an engine that won't run at peril? Why do I got to turn it 0.6% this way or 1% this way? Because it's not meant to run off of gasoline. It's meant to run off of hemp seed oil. And what comes out the tailpipe is water. You want to tell me about a plant created by God? You want to argue about whether or not it's evil? Hey, I don't know. I'm not a pastor. I'll do the best I can. But so far, the facts are going in the other direction. I can get too much out of it for my people. I can clothe my people, feed them, medicate them. Did you know right now you can take the plant fibers, you mix it with a lime and a little bit of water, grind that marijuana plant all up to little bits and pieces, mixes it with lime and water, and a chemical reaction happens. It's the only place in the world this happens. Petrification. In a bucket. In other words, a tree that turns to stone. Go look up hemp homes and see how they're built. They take the marijuana fiber, they put it into a bucket, they pour water on top of it, they grind it up in this machine, they spackle it on the outside of a thin piece of 1x4 insulation. It's like stucco, and bam, it is that thick and it's 10 times stronger than concrete. So I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But as we move forward in time, as we look at the Revolutionary period, because Henry Ford and whatnot was all around the 1900s. Now, Abraham Lincoln and the British were smart enough, don't try and put the whole cookie in your mouth at one time. We tried that. It don't work. You can't eat the whole cookie. You take a little bite. Each time you take another little bite. And eventually you whittle that cookie down where you can put the last piece in your mouth and you've had the whole cookie. So they said, all right, Abraham. It's funny how his name is Abraham, isn't it? The same, but different. So Abraham said, I got the Emancipation Proclamation. I'm going to tell all the idiots out there who are uneducated and can't read that this emancipation means I'm going to free the slaves. Well, at the time, everybody who was educated knew that was untrue. They all knew it. But they rewrote history and educated you. Some idiot stood in the front of the room and said, this Emancipation Proclamation means the slaves are free. Write that down on a test and you'll get an A. Okay. I got an A. Yeah. It's the biggest moron mind hump in the world. And you have to forgive me because, well, I'm not perfect. And sometimes I can be a little vulgar. But that's what it is. They have screwed with your brain. They have filled it with garbage. It is time to call the trash truck, dump it out, and send it on down the road. Because the answers are over here.
Amen. Hallelujah. That's right.
And when you start looking at this book, and you truly get a grip on what discernment is, it's like the four corners. Can you stop listening to these educators? Can you take this book? Can you step back and look at the facts and see this book in what's in front of you? If you can, then you know the truth. If you can't, you still have work to do. Or you don't care. Now those are the facts. I will sugarcoat nothing. I will show no man no quarter, nor any woman. Facts are facts. You can choose to ignore them. You can choose to do anything you want to. I will not begrudge you your choice. I will begrudge you what is beget from your choice. I will not hate you, but I will hate what comes from your choice, the action. I love you. I really wish you wouldn't have made that decision. But it is what it is. And now I have to deal with it. And that may mean I have to deal with you.
That's right. True.
That's the law.
That's right.
I'm not going to stop you from making a decision. You may want to jump up here and slap me. I don't hate you. I'm going to do whatever I do to hurt you bad enough where you ain't never going to want to slap me again. But it ain't because I don't like you. I love you. I don't want you to slap me in the first place. I got personal respect, self-space.
Come on.
This is my temple.
That's right.
You can't come up in my temple and tell me how to run things.
That's right.
Now we're right back to personal sovereignty.
That's right.
Our forefathers were more Israelite than anything else. I'm willing to bet money on it. Everything I got. The right to keep and bear arms. Let the church say it. Luke 22:36. One of the most important things, we can look at it from a parental point of view. Yeah, you're going over a checklist. You're getting ready to leave your house. You got a checklist and your children are right there. And you're like, okay, do this, don't do this, don't. Oh, man, my keys, I got to get my keys. I got to get my, where's my, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm going out the door. Oh, by the way, before I leave, children, you must do X. But now I got to go. I'll see you again. Isn't that what you tell your children? Yeah. So what did Jesus do? Do all these things, do X, Y, and Z. Oh, yeah, let's have the meal, let's have the supper. Oh, yeah, okay, it's time for me to go do my thing. I'm going, oh, wait. By the way, I don't care if you're naked. Sell your damn clothes and buy a sword.
Come on, man. Glory.
Now, normally, I will not enter into a room and socialize in the manner that I am now if every man in the room is not armed. I hope that most brought their sword today. Your sword is not something you leave home for convenience, because Satan is watching.
Yes, sir.
And he can see just like Jesus can. You don't think so? He's waiting. Leave your sword at the house and leave your wife unprotected.
Come on.
He will send that rapist. He is waiting. Is it a relentless decision? Yes. But if you're going to walk it, if you're going to talk it, do it. The right to keep and bear arms. Every concept in the Constitution is right here. You have the right to free speech and speak your mind. Is that in here?
Yes, sir.
However, God has been smart enough to tell us, well, if you want to speak your mind and you want to continue to be free, what do you need? A sword! People aren't going to like what you got to say. People are going to cast you down, attempt to tear you down, abuse you, kill you, maim you. They want to stop the message. So what should you do? Defend yourself, stupid.
That's right.
Don't go out there in the street like an idiot. Hey, man, I was thinking, you really shouldn't do that because Jesus says it's wrong. They look around, they all got swords, and you just standing there with your toga on. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, you think it's wrong, do you? Why don't you come on out here, partner? And we're going to take care of you right quick. But if you walk out of the house, and you flash your steel, and you say what you were doing is wrong, and the righteous man will put an end to it right here and right now, you will strike the fear of Yah in their soul. Now, some people are lunatics, and you will still have to deal with them.
Yes, sir.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Some of them brains out there, they don't fire all the way one direction or the other. You see that guy sitting on the side of the street, he's like twitching, and don't get out the car, because you're going to have to shoot him. Keep driving. If you see him down on the corner, and he's staring at every woman that walks by, and he's... Go around. Go another block the other way. You shouldn't seek out to kill a man.
That's right. That's right.
You should not walk into the dark alley where you know Satan is. Castle doctrine. Constitution. Everything, every law you choose to follow, is in the original Constitution. Freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. Religion must be separate. Why? How did they come to this? And let me tell you what, for you guys to get real insight, you should go and it's called the ratification process. That's what took place as they said, okay, the Articles of Confederation aren't any good. They used them for about 9 years. And they said, we need better. So they said, okay, we're going to attempt to make the Constitution. They made the Constitution. It wasn't good enough. The people said, no, take it back. Did you know that? And Jefferson actually said, well, y'all add something. Tell us what's wrong. What did we miss in our infinite wisdom? So they what? They humbled themselves before the people. I said, tell us what we missed, brother. Thereby came the Bill of Rights. The Constitution was dead in the water without the Bill of Rights. There were 12 rights included. The colonists and whatnot came together and said, okay, we've got 10 from here and 10 from there and 12 from here and 14 from them weirdos over there. Yeah, whoo, they got some extra ones that are a little funny. And they all finally settled on 10. And they said, okay, if you include these authoritative documentation in the Constitution, we'll go through the ratification process. Each and every colony, state, whatever you want to call them, came together with a giant meeting, a group. That's what you should be reading. There is a histological record of those activities, events. You ever read them in school? No. Because the concepts in this book are espoused in those meetings. So they will not teach you. They will not show you. It's not going to happen. Satan is not going to say, oh yeah, by the way, we did this and that and another, and yay. He's not going to do it. He's in the driver's seat right now. Why is he going to show his hand? But it's the reason why a man like me is a criminal today. Because y'all said, I'll teach him. I will spread the message. I will spread the word. If they listen, they listen.
So the fact of the matter is the Constitution that we have presented to us today is not the original Constitution.
Nope.
That the founding fathers had on this country. And that's the reason why everybody is under this illusion.
It's the same,
but
different. Okay, the Holy Book. Well, this is some things we went over with some of the brethren last night. Holy Book. God sanctions marriage. Okay, let's take marriage. Marriage is of what? Your choice. You have to go into the temple, though, and there's a process. Am I correct? There's a process to sanctifying it under Yah. Well, Satan's got his own version. But it's not about the merger of natural bodies. That's about the merger of this. Let me give you the modern version. Which is a fictional creation generated that looks like a living creature to sit atop the living creature. It's called a corporation. You are not a person. You never have been a person. You never will be a person. A person is like your shirt. Now, a person used to be called a trust. It's how you protected yourself under the Constitution to bury your family and your assets from the king's rule. You can still do it today. Well, I'm not real sure. Last time it's a corporate trust. It's the same, but it's a little different. You can generate a trust today. I have one myself. It's over a decade old. When I did my fight, when I took my thing, when I took my freedom into my own hands, I have no Social Security card. I have no driver's license. I do not report to the federal government. I do not pay taxes. And I don't care. At some point, they will kill me. I'm okay with that. I truly believe, well, to me, I've had a dream. I've seen myself join men at a campfire. Men I do not know. Men's faces I have never seen. I don't even see them here. Even with a newcomer. And I lay down in the field and I die with them. That is my fate. I have seen the dream. I have seen it several times. I do not know the field. I do not know what happens. I do not know what is going on. But I am leading those men, and I die in the field with my men. That's where I meet my end. I have 100% faith. Because I asked the question. Where am I going? What do I do with this knowledge? And I was told, spew it as quickly as possible, for your end is near. They need the wisdom to carry into the future.
Yes, sir.
So I accept that. I'm okay with it. I enjoy every single day. Love my wife.
Glory.
The most wonderful creature I have ever met. Loves me beyond recognition. And I her. Will you die for your woman?
Yes, sir.
Will you die for your family?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what that means? Do you feel it inside? Is this a mental conversation? Or do you know it right here?
That's right.
Because that's what it takes. That's what you at war.
That's right.
And it's not just in the spiritual realm. Someday, somewhere, somehow, be prepared because they go knock on this door.
That's right. Yep.
And they ain't coming to play patty cake. You will conform or die.
Yep. That's right. Yes, sir.
That's where we're going. It's in here.
Yes, sir.
However, I'm also willing to say, we can win. We can turn this around. Anybody want to argue with me? Fear not, for these things do not have to come to pass, lest there be a great falling away. Are we falling away? No, we're gaining steam. We're growing. There was a falling away, but we are rebounding.
Glory.
We're making a comeback. And it's in these places right here. Leadership of men like that right there.
That's right. Hallelujah.
Joint efforts of the saints to find discernment and understanding, to make sure the leader isn't leading them astray.
That's right.
That's what it's about.
Glory. That's right.
It's one man provides information and direction, and the sovereign body
Glory.
chooses to follow or not.
That's right.
It's the Constitution. Same exact thing. President. What does he do? Provides information and says, these are the facts of the world. Now what do I do? The community then tells him what to do. That's how the original Constitution worked.
That's right.
Isn't that how this works?
Yeah. Come on.
So God's law existed on the earth, for 75 years. Nope. You know what the problem was? We weren't paying attention. We did exactly what Satan required. We willingly gave it to him. God said, let me think about it. Way back in the day, tribes of Israel, we're talking way back near the front of this good book, right? The Cherokee Indian and the tribe was marched out of the Israelite land, set across the ocean, the frozen ocean. You want to know why the Ice Age happened? Because y'all had to get his people to the other side of the planet and they ain't invented planes yet. And it's been a chase, heading west. Satan is chasing God, trying to win. This is a biblical portion that most people don't get to experience when I talk about the Constitution. They have no idea how seated in this book freedom is. because you have the freedom. Well, you go out in the street, Constitution. There are consequences for certain actions. But can you rape? Can you pillage and plunder? No, wait a minute now. Sure you can. It's a choice. Is there a consequence? Absolutely. There's a consequence. But you can do it. You want to go to church? That's fine. You don't want to you don't want to have faith? That's fine. There's a consequence. But you can choose through your own sovereignty to say, none for me. God says, look, you'll poison your body if you eat swine. But the only time he says you can't eat swine is if you're going to walk in the way of me. Are you going to heaven? Then don't eat the swine. But if you don't want to go to heaven, eat all the pork you want. I don't give a damn. Suck the bones. It's really the reality. It's all about free choice. Freedom. God says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. I have the power to do anything I damn well please. But I'm going to give you free choice. God says, I'm the king. There is a heaven, there is a hell. But I'm going to step down off my pedestal. I'm going to let you choose. You don't have to follow me. It's going to hurt me. Brother, if you go to hell, hypothetically, I'm not saying I am God, but in that position right here, I'm going to say, son, if you don't choose to come to my house, I'm going to shed a tear. It is going to hurt me, but I will not stop you. I will open the door to the pit of hell and say, hey, I love you. I'm sorry. Have a nice day. That's up to you. Well, you want door number 1, door number 2? You were in the driver's seat. You believe at any point in time that you're not in charge of your life, you have lost your mind. Even when the policeman is standing there with a gun to your head, you're in charge. You make the choices. Is he going to shoot you? Probably. Did you bring your sword? Are you prepared to shoot back? Are you going to stand there and take it like a man, like God said to? What did he say? Let them have your head. If they take it, they took it. Did you have your sword? Did you fight? Did you do everything you could? Okay, you ain't lost. Stand on your damn feet like a man. That's right. And meet your end like a man. And meet me on the other side. I'll extend my hand. I'll be waiting for you. I'm right here. Come to me, my children. The ideas of our founding fathers and the ideas being espoused today is completely and 100% the antithesis of what's in this book. Or let me break it down for you. Antithesis. This is a thesis. It's a theory. Really, if you think about it, if you want to go to heaven, you should do all these things. Well, that's God's plan. It's a theory. A theory is a law in practice. Now, nobody can prove it, which is why it's still a theory. Why can't they prove it? Because ain't nobody rose from the dead, come back with pictures of what heaven looks like. It's about faith. Well, Satan has an alternative theory. And they boil down into ideologies. And once you understand both sides, Sun Tzu, one of the greatest military leaders who has ever walked the planet, has conquered more territory, killed more men, destroyed more armies, larger than him, obliterated technological giants in his face. I mean, the greatest military mind I have ever read. I have put into practice some of his operations. They are perfect. He makes no mistakes. Does he lose? Yeah, but he takes a hell of a lot of people with him. If he loses 1,000 men, you lost 10,000. If he loses a fort, it took you 13 battalions to overrun it, and ain't none of them ever fighting again. If they gonna breathe again. They'll be missing legs, arms, whatever. Fight to the last man, 2 by 2. You ever heard that phrase?
Yes, sir.
That's Sun Tzu. He used to build his forts, dirt and rock, right? With a 3.5-foot tunnel. That's the only way you could get in. And the walls were 8 feet thick. 8 feet thick! With no gates. No gates to keep out the enemy. Why? Because he stacked men in there, 2 by 2. Yep. 2 in the front, shoulder to shoulder, spear. Lost thousands of men. Thousands. Because it was so obvious. He said, defeat your enemy from within their own mind. Well, any idiot like me, if I'd have been back then, in all honesty, I'd have said, wait a minute. Throw a ladder up and go over top, stupid. But the other generals were bigger. They had larger armies, were more arrogant. And he said, well, there's an open door. Just go through it. What do you mean we can't make it through that hallway? Keep sending them in. We got thousands of men. We'll just keep pouring them in there. And he broke the back of nations. People need to truly think about their surroundings and understand your enemy. I'm not saying believe the doctrine of your enemy. I'm saying you have to comprehend your enemy. Sun Tzu said, you must know the thing you wish to kill as if it was part of your own body. Why? Well, you know its weaknesses. You know how it's going to act, how it's going to react. That's what Sun Tzu said. Israelites are a warrior nation. I think it's about time we introduce Sun Tzu to the warrior nation. It's about time to change the mentality. You are meant to be a citizen soldier. That's your male role, provider, protector. But you are the army. You report to who? The Most High. And the Council of Saints. The Council of Saints direct the activities of the group. Well, if they got to defend themselves, they're going to come up with a battle plan. Of course you got to report to them. But there's no superior officers. There is structure for you to take command from. Or else you just go wander around the field shooting each other. You won't know what the heck you're doing. Now, let me tell you too, before I get too much deeper, because I know we're going to take more time and talk at other points about this. War. I don't know how to explain it to you. There are several men in this room that have experienced certain things in their life. You go into a foreign nation, however, that you do not occupy and you have not invaded, but yet you are there anyways. You have no food and supplies, and what you are supposed to do is gather information. Well, at that point, I'm God. You want to taste the war? Let me give you a taste of war. You think it's shooting and guns and all that? Yeah, whatever. It's lining a bunch of villagers up against a damn wall. Oh, you the chief? Who's your wife? Line your children up next to them. Where's the enemy supply depot? How can I get in and infiltrate their establishment and blow up whatever it is I'm trying to blow up? Well, I can't tell you that. So you don't start at the front, you go to the end of the line and you stab his smallest child through the neck and bleed him out slow. Let him watch. Okay? You want to know what war is? You want to murder, death, mayhem? You want to know destruction? It's coming. And it ain't perfect. We're getting older. Now, if you don't want to be in a position where this happens to your leader and his family, you better be prepared. Because Satan's army is completely scrupulous. I know. I was in it. And I was good. And I liked it. I kill everybody on the wall. I'll slit all your throats. And then I'll step out to the crowd and say, okay, you're now the chief. Where's your family? Tell me what I want to know. I'll kill everybody in the village. I don't care. And didn't. I'll kill them all. Every last damn one of them. They ain't human. They're standing in the way in the greatness of America. It's a delusion I gave myself. I believed it. I lived it. Understand what is coming to your shores. Okay? War is the most horrible, the most disgusting, degenerate, horrible situation you have ever been in. Multiply that by 1,000 and you might get started. People's own men will cut each other's bellies open to survive. They don't care if survival is between me and them 10 busloads of 5-year-old children. The soldier will kill them all. He don't care. He'll cook them. Depending on who he's a soldier for. That's really what it means. But we must act differently. We must have decorum. We must show mercy. We must show love. Not hatred. We cannot treat them the same way because then we are them. Wait. Justice for all, the law is blind, and court trials. It's the Constitution. We cannot be like them, and even if everybody knows they're guilty, they get their day in court. Because we're not barbarians. We have a different law. And ladies and gentlemen, it can come back. It may never completely take over the country. But I'm pretty sure here at the back, somewhere in this book, if you read, it talks about a remnant. We can sustain the law and the kingdom of heaven on earth. We can. We have the power. It was given to us by Yah. It was told to us how to do it. It's right here. It's a manual. But it takes discernment to find it in here. Now, me personally, and to those of you out there who are listening, when I was young, or younger, and it's after I met my wife. Yeah, I really wasn't that young. It was only about a decade ago. I asked several questions. I said, God, I'm disgusting. I am a disgusting, filthy, vile creature. I hate, I murder, I pillage, I burn, I destroy. I was a physical embodiment of the destroyer. You want to know truth? I'm not ashamed. If he can change my nature, or give me the power to control my nature, think what he can do for you. So the law can persist. But it is time we start taking all of the law into our daily activities. Training. Do you feel like warriors? Yeah, you can farm. You can raise some cattle. You can build some buildings. Can you fight? And for those of you out there, let me tell you, if you think your communities are going to make it because you got electricians and you got roofers and you got framers, you got all this crap you want to throw together. Oh, yeah, you can build a building. Somebody else is going to live in it. Ain't going to be you. Because they know how to operate a weapon.
That's right.
They got their sword. Sorry about your bad luck. Other communities that are listening here, let me tell you what. As important, let me tell you, this sword is as important to learn a tool as a backhoe, as a hammer, as anything else.
Yes, sir.
Do you honestly think Jesus said go buy a sword and, well, carry it around and look pretty?
Come on.
Would he tell you to purchase a tool for a trade if you did not know how to use it?
That's right.
But the federal government continues to take away your right and ability to gain access to these pieces of equipment, these tools. And eventually, they're going to remove access to people like me. We won't be around to teach or preach, as some people say that's what I do. Maybe I do. I don't know. Like I was saying continually last night to the brothers. I'm a one-man band. I'm at 8,132 feet. I got a 60-year-old gentleman who helps me out. You know, we live on the land together. Both his mother and his brother there, they're both older than him. His wife is the same age as my wife. I got one child at 17. I'm closing on 50 like it's going out of style.
Come on. That's right.
I have no network. I do now. It's a little further away. I can't just walk out the door and get the embrace of a brother.
Right.
But I also know that I'm not supposed to make, not attachments, but I'm not supposed to be in the community in that lifestyle. And most people won't understand. But when you receive a dream many, many times, it just continues to happen. Now, the dream starts out with 3 apples. 3 apples. 2 apples, right? Roll off the table, onto the ground, out the door, into the grass, and up a tree. The other apple rolls off the table the other way, out another door, and winds up in a big giant sandbox with bombs blowing up, murder, death, mayhem, apple guts everywhere. And then it is said, my children will go into the forest. But I am sorry, my son, that is not for you. So I know where I'm going. I'm the apple that rolled off the other way. People don't like that. People say it's barbaric, that I'm crazy. But I know. My path has been laid before me. It is clear. Now, I say the dream here because I have been so informed that that is what I'm supposed to do. And if anybody can listen to the dreams that I've had and tell me any other thing, well, look, I've seen myself repeatedly as a skeleton with my head on it and a long golden sword in one hand and the Constitution in the other, as I march in front of men. I've had that dream again and again. And at the end of the dream, I lay on the ground. All the men's faces that are in my dream, I've never seen any of them yet in my entire life, but I'm laying there with them. Why? Because I asked the question. I said, God, where am I going? What am I doing? Just tell me what the destination is. Whatever it may be is okay. Well, I guess God thought I could handle it. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe it's not. Maybe I've interpreted it incorrectly, but I truly believe in my heart of heart that that's where I'm going. I don't get to go into the forest. I'm trying. I've tried to build an area where others can go. But when I am called to go forward, I will leave you. And I will seek my destiny under the wing of Yah somewhere else. It's just the facts. And I don't know how really to tell people much about that, because, I don't know, people think visions are nuts. But if I have the same one over and over and over again, if it comes to me in my sleep, if it comes to me when I am awake, and believe it or not, just like another brother, I asked another question. I said, well, God, if this is my destiny, what do I do with this knowledge? Well, then I had another dream. One word. Teach, teach, teach. Well, I said, well, okay. I said, well, God, am I supposed to teach? And the next night it was, quickly. Teach quickly. I said, okay. I said, well, God, I need help. I said, I need somewhere for this information to go. I need the information to be important. Not me, the information. The message. And I said, I need help. You've already told me that ain't my job. The very next morning, I was introduced to the very first video by that man sitting right there. Every single time I have asked, an answer has been given to me, but I was prepared to listen. I was prepared to receive direction. That's how I got here. I have watched video after video after video after video of that man right there. And I said, well, I said, God, I said, man, yeah, I get to talk to him. And there are other people from his community that call in. I said, man, but I know I'm not going there. I know I'm not going to live there. But I was selfish. And I asked for something. I said, can I see it? Can I taste it? Just once. Let me have it. The check came. The man said he wanted to have me out here to see his people. So obviously the answer was, all right, boy, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to throw you a bone. And here I am. I got what I asked for. I've shook the man's hand. I have embraced him. And I have seen the community. It's exactly what I asked for. Now, I've never said that to anybody yet, because I didn't want to say it till I got here. I even tried to stop the man. Didn't I? So we can sit around and we can play tiddlywinks or 50 questions or whatever you want to do to try and talk about the power of God. But if you truly are doing everything you can to serve Yah, ask and you shall receive. Can you do for yourself? Absolutely, and you should. He isn't going to help you if you don't. But if you're doing, breaking your back, working your hands, loving your wife, being a man, and you say, Lord, I just need a little bit. Can you? Think you can find it? He'll cut it out. He'll make it. He'll send it. That's the same way I got my wife. I said, what human will ever love me? What woman will ever lay with me? I kill babies. God said, I got one. So no matter that, there are lots of rules. She doesn't dress like everybody else dresses. But I know where she came from. And she'll get there eventually. Just got to have faith. Because she loved me when no one else would. Okay? So the things in life that I have are from the grace of God. And it used to be a period of time ago when I was experiencing Christianity and so forth, I told everybody, I don't know, I might be an atheist. Because God has never presented himself to me. Well, it's because Christian cannot provide you with God.
That's right.
That was my fault. Because I kept going back to them looking for God. Well, God ain't there.
That's right.
It ain't his house. He don't live there. He ain't got a window. There ain't no business going on there for him.
True.
He might be waiting outside hoping he can pick one off and say, hey, look, you need to come over to the Israelites and check it out.
That's right. Glory.
But he ain't in that building. And he ain't coming out the lips of that thing they call a preacher. Because they teach you to be pacifistic, stupid, trusting, accepting. Don't worry about defending yourself. Don't worry, you don't need a gun. Put on the armor of God and tell that rapist to stop.
Come on.
You don't need a sword. Tell that murderist, you stop that bad stuff. Well, if God was going to swoop down and save you, would he have told you to buy a sword?
Come on. Nope. That's right.
I mean, where's the common sense reality?
Right. True.
You can apply these things logically to your life. And we're going to, what we really want to do is Abraham, the second, Satan's Abraham. He went into Congress, pulled out guns, and pointed it to their heads. He said, sign it. Oh, die. The ones who refused to sign it were removed from office. Organic Act of 1871 and so forth had started its life. It was never ratified. No, was not. There was no seat in Congress capable. Almost 50% of them disagreed and said, no, not going to do it. Well, they were removed. And then he brought and appointed his own people and said, sign it. Sure thing, bossa. Done deal. Organic Act of 1871, or better known as the U.S. Constitution. A putrid, vile, disgusting, Satan document. And the reason why people don't get these things is because they aren't willing to make the acknowledgement that there is only two ideologies. Yah's and Satan's. That's the problem with atheists and so forth. I still love them. I have many an argument with atheists. I still care about them, their personal well-being in their body. I believe their mind is completely gone. I hope it gets reeled back in before they die. But I still care for them as I'm supposed to. And let me tell you, we start talking about the law, okay? We want to talk about corporate existence. When it originally came to effect, they transferred ownership of the slave to Congress. That's what happened. That's what the Emancipation Proclamation is, if you read it. break out the etymology of the words, fine-tooth comb, and go over the documentation, all slaves were reassigned ownership to the Congress. Yep. Then they offered, see, under constitutional law, this one, right here, 3 forms of taxation that's appropriate. If I offer you a benefit, if I offer you an opportunity, okay, or if you have status, when we talk about that. But those are only 3 ways you can be taxed. So why are you taxed today? It's God's law, right? Well, you taxed because you weren't paying attention. So it ain't exactly the same. You see, you work for a job agency. You have a Social Security number, and that means you work for a job agency. Oops. So every time you work or collect a paycheck or do any operation within that function, well, it's a privilege, better known as a benefit provided to you by the government. Don't you got your employee ID number?
That's right.
Did you not know that Washington got you that job? Did you not know they are an employment agency? Yep. You want to know about marriage? I'll tell you what, right now, those in this world, and if there are any in this room, I'm sorry. But marriage, if you went to the state and you heard some fool stand up in front of the room and say, by the power invested in me by the state, you're a whore and an adulterer because you ain't married. It's a merger of 2 corporations. Read the documentation. See what that license says. By the merger of these corporations, hereby in and with, all signatories attend that the product of this merger belongs to the state. So not only are you a fornicator, not only are you not married, but the children you produce aren't even yours.
That's right.
You want to slow it down? Oh, okay. Well, sorry. I didn't even know. I just keep talking. It has been informed to me that it is time for the victuals to begin. And I'll talk you till you're skinny. So let's go ahead and we're going to break. I don't know whenever we're back, but Pastor's going to give us the information.
All right. There's a lot of good information to hear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
A lot of good information to hear. And of course, I know that many of you are not going to understand a lot of the things that he's saying. And that's the reason why you need to have some questions too, okay? So we can get an understanding. Now, if you notice, the ministry here is definitely quite different than any other ministries that you may be familiar with. I'm sure of that, right? Y'all know that, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And of course, when you start hearing this history, see, that's the reason why I wanted Brother Eric to come here. I wanted him to expound the history because I'm not nowhere near as good as about the history as he is to see how we got here. So you see that these Ashkenazis are, they there, isn't they? They there, they're big time. All right. I want to show you something. Well, you're all familiar with this passage, but I'm going to read this passage of the scripture again to show you. You see, basically, as a people, we've been castrated. Now, you follow me? And the state has used Christianity, the religion of Christianity, to make sure that this castration is complete. Now, you follow me? So basically, everybody's become good subjects, and we're still under the king, following the laws of this land right. But I want to show you something over in First Maccabees, all right? We're familiar with King Antiochus. Some people call him Antiochus, right? And, of course, you know it talks about Alexandria and his reign, the Greek. Or I call him, Alexander the Greek. Somebody call him the Greek. I'll call him what he is, the Greek. All right. But I'm going to just finish this right here with the swine's flesh thing, okay? Swine's flesh thing. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. All should be what? One people. And everyone should leave his laws. So that's what the creation of Christianity, they used the book, kind of like what he says, to get you away from the book. You see what I mean? You got the Bible sitting in front of you, and they use the same Bible, and they can sit there and trick you and deceive you right out of the book. Brother Jermaine, he'll tell you, we'll probably call Brother Jermaine up tomorrow. He had a very interesting experience with me yesterday in Bowling Green. I had somebody stop me and said, what is a Hebrew Israelite? I go, we're right in the doorway of Sam's where everybody's listening, and people stopped and started listening. Yeah, perfect place, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And you could tell he was some form of an educator, an older guy, an educator. You know what I mean? I asked him, did I lie? What did he say, Brother Jermaine? He said, you didn't say anything false. I was thinking, that's a funny way to put it. You know what I mean? But anyway, all right. And everyone should leave his laws, so that all the heathen agreed. Who agrees? According to the commandment of the king. Yea, and many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. That's why we got people today that's dumb and don't know who they are. And I'm trying my best to do what I can to wake them up and wake their conscience up and get them out of darkness, out of Christianity. And out of Judaism, Jewish and Messianics. As a matter of fact, out of all of it. Let's just go ahead and cover that. Okay? But it says, look, and this is our problem. That many also of the Israelites consented to his religions and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath, the test commandment. You see what I mean? So the way we got to the condition or how we're here today is because the people that went before us consented. They consented to his religion, consented to whatever the king wanted. That's why we're in the condition we are today. That's why we look like a thumb out of joint. That's why people call us cult. That's why people call us crazy and stuff, because we choose to use independent thinking. And we choose to research. Now, we don't know everything. So that's why together, if we get some people who are informed, then they need to come and tell us what they know. You understand what I mean? So we can move forward from there, because if you don't know history, what I always say, you're destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past. And no doubt we're doing what? Repeating the same mistakes of the past. But anyway, sticking with the book right here, look what he says. And the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Y'all hear that? See, because they're strange to us because we're not familiar with these laws. Are you following me? And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane there it is again, the Sabbath and the what? Festival days. How you profane the Sabbath? You go to Sunday. How do you profane the festival days? Well, you do the other festival days. You don't. You hold them in little esteem or no regard whatsoever at all. You create other festival days, Feast of Bacchus and Dionysius, and you know what I mean. Old Saint Nick. You getting that? All right. Look at this. And pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, or pollute the set apart people. Again, it's all a war after the Israelites. To set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. To the end, this is the whole purpose, to the end that they might forget the law. And we talk about the law more than anything, don't we? Is all this is to the end that they might forget the law. Because see, his character is Torah. Are you following me? His character is the Word. Are you following me? And the Word was made flesh. Are you following me? Look at this now. And whosoever would not do according to the king's commandment, he said should die. We were sitting at the table this morning. I said, You know, they can sit there. I believe it was at the table. Oh, where was it at? Y'all may have heard me, but I said, you know, it's amazing because most people, even including sitting in this room and you out there that are listening, most people are not ready for the decision I'm getting ready to put before them. Are you following me? It's easy for us to say it, but you need to really truly search your heart. You follow me? Most of us would freely take up the opposite. Now here it is. I said, you know, it's amazing. If they could come and tell you, here's just one spoon of pork, swine. You know, it's just one spoon. You go ahead and consume this one spoon, and you'll live. But if you don't want to consume this one spoon, then you'll die. And believe it or not, there are people out there that will say, well, Yah will want me to live. So he will want you to live to transgress his law, right? You see what I mean? I said, well, that's an easy decision for me. That's how I take that spoon and shove it down his throat. You understand that? So you already know what my decision is. There won't be no compromise. Zero, zilch, nada. But some of you don't have it settled in your hearts. You out there to listen? No, you don't. Pastor Dowd is not going to knowingly, willingly. That's why we believe in trying to raise our own food and grow our own food. You know what I mean? Consume swine flesh. Are you following me? So he better go ahead and shoot me, because if he don't shoot me, if I get to him before he do. Yeah, you see, that's the attitude. Are we going to obey Yah or obey man? You see what I mean? Most people, we've been conditioned, we don't see nothing wrong with it, because we've been eating it so long to the end that we might forget the law. Now you can't even talk to the people out there. Maybe we can get Brother Eric on the next session here on first day to speak on this. I'd like you to try to speak on this vein right here, because what we have that I deal with more than anything, we have a bunch of people that are constitutionalists. Are you following me? And they're very passionate towards the Constitution. Are you following me? But they won't keep the commandments. And my question to them is the same I say to other people. What good is it to be passionate towards the Constitution? Because I understood he's talking about two different constitutions. The Constitution he's talking about is the Constitution that supports the law of the Most High Yah. In case you didn't hear that. Are you following me? But what most people would do, they would turn around and they would actually die for a Constitution that they so-called believe in. Are you following me? But will not keep his commandments. Uh-oh. Because it's not written in the original Constitution, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Is that correct? You see what I mean? So that you have to go back to the law in order to know how to keep the law. The reason why I wrote the law of the land, because they had different peoples of different diversities and backgrounds that they all agreed that this is how we can live in peace and harmony. You know what I mean? I don't step on you, you don't step on me, and this is the base of the law, since you won't read this book over here. Is that making any sense? Are you following me? And that's how you need for people to function in harmony and peace. Most people don't understand stuff like this. So we have to present and keep talking about it. All right? Now, let me finish this, because we need to eat. I'm hungry. In the selfsame manner, he wrote to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. That's why your sheriffs and your police departments and everybody come in. They're going to make sure that this law is supported. All right? Now, I'm not anti what you call it government. You follow me? I'm anti-government of Yah. Yes, sir. Any government that's not a government of Yah, I'm anti. Okay. All right. Then many of the people who were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone forsook the law. So they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they would flee for succor. Now, the 15th day of the month of Keshu, in the 144th year. Let me go on down right here. Look at this. Let me hit this part right here. And verse 56. And when they had rent into pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire. And whosoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or of any consent to the law, the king's commandment is that they should put him to death. So guess who's trying to play Yah? And using fear and coercion. You know, in Revelations 13 talks about it, and he causeth all. There's a cause. And that cause is to lead you to make a decision. You follow me? Now look at this. And whosoever was, okay, 58. Thus did they by the authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the city. See, I told y'all from the beginning, this thing is about eradicating y'all's witness in this earth. That's what it's all about. He just got finished telling you that. This whole thing is to seek out and to uproot the Israelites. Because Satan has a kingdom and then Yah has a kingdom, all right? Look what it says right here. Thus did they by the authority and Israelites. Okay, 59. Now, the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the altar, which was the altar of Yah, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Here's some Israelite women that are obeying the law. All right, look at this, what it says right here. And they hanged their infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved. Y'all hear that? And confirmed in themselves. What they confirmed with? You and me agreeing, or was it settled right here? It's settled right here. And look at this. Not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel. Y'all hear that? This is what happens when the Greeks and the Romans, and we're still fighting the Romans today, they just done changed their names. Like we told you many, many times before. All right? Okay. Well, anyway, we know, let me see. We got Blog Talk tonight. We got Blog Talk, Brother Eric. You going to be with me tonight on Blog Talk? Okay, we're going to do a Blog Talk tonight. And then, of course, we got Sabbath morning, Accusing Spirits 2. Accusing Spirits 2, and then we'll be back here on, we'll give a time. We'll give a time then, okay? Sometime Sabbath or maybe Blog Talk, all right? All right, shalom. Have a good day. Let's go eat.